So now that I have two different firearms and have fired a decent amount out of both, I want to give a little bit of a overview on my thought process and what I'm thinking about with them, just to kind of document this. There's quite a few things that I like about both of these pistols. The Glock I just now got once I got my permit to carry. This is what I'm going to keep on me for a while until I get something smaller that I can use in different situations, depending on clothing. But a couple things I do want to talk about with these, and things that are going to alter my viewpoints in the future on purchasing a firearm. So neither one of these are obviously loaded, no magazine in them. First thing I want to talk about is the grip on the gun. I immediately enjoyed the grip on this pistol here. And the reason for it is right there, where my fingers end up. When I grab this and get a good grip on it, my fingers just barely make it around, so it's perfect for me. This is not going to be perfect for everybody's, but it's perfect for me. My fingers stop right there. It feels good. I got a good grip. I got a ton of space here. I love this. This is amazing. I've got no worries about getting that other hand in there, finding my sights, and firing the pistol confidently. It's just amazing. As soon as I held it, I knew this is something I wanted to have. Especially with the finger grooves. A lot of people do not like these finger grooves. I've held the Gen 5. I was actually looking for the Gen 5 for a while. And I was telling myself the day that I went in and bought this, that if they didn't have the Gen 5, that it was a sign that I wasn't going to get a gun that day. That I should wait. But then when I got to the store, I looked at the pistol, and I never held one of the Gen 3s with the finger grooves. So he let me hold it, and I fell in love instantly. And I thought about the differences in what has changed with the pistol, and the main thing that I would be missing out on that I care about personally is this magazine release, because the magazine release is rough. It's very hard to deal with, and I'm going to cover that in a minute with the magazines you get with the gun. But compared to the XDM here, you'll see when I get a grip on the XDM, look at my fingers. They come all the way around this bad boy. It's so narrow. It's long, but it's very narrow compared to the Glock. So I get too much of this fingertip here into my palm, creating a gap. I don't really get my hand on there enough. So this one, I still haven't quite figured out how to hold it and feel confident with it. My fingers are digging into my palm too much. So maybe I need to alter the grip on this, put some Talon grip on it, tape, or maybe even buy a new grip, something different. But that was a huge deal for me as soon as I held this one. And because of the grip, even though this is the larger pistol and has less recoil on it, just straight up, it's heavier, it's a longer barrel, especially with the threaded barrel on there. It's an easier gun as far as the kick on it. But controlling the recoil was easier on this. Yes, it kicks a little bit harder, but because of the good grip that I have and the sight difference, which we're going to talk about that in a second too, I was able to get back on target quicker and more confidently with this one. Now, there's a couple things that are not fair when it comes to this one, but we'll get to that as well. So we'll go right into the sights next then. So that's the grip. And I also like the angle of the Glock grip. It's more aggressive forward, so it's easy to get your hand into that position that you want to be in, your support hand to get that grip instead of being up here. So Glock wins out on that end. Just the grip in general wins. Next is going to be sights. So it's not very fair comparison. This one is suppressor high sights that are blacked out. So for a first-time shooter, this was difficult to get used to, and I'm still not used to it. Just it's difficult to find your sights as quickly and as confidently, especially depending on the light or the target you're shooting at. So as soon as I get a red dot on it, which is really what this one's meant for, it's the marksman version, it's the elite version. So it's got the barrel, it's got the height, the suppressor high sights, it's got the plate, which I already got mine in the mail. I just got to go get a sight for it, a red dot. Whereas the Glock, I've seen so many videos of people complaining about these, but I love them. I mean, I don't think I'd have a problem with anything where it's a dot and some type of marker that I can see. I guess I'd have to own some other pistols and fire them a lot to see what people are talking about, but if I can see the square U and the dot, I'm good. I don't see how there's a problem. So that was a benefit here, which I knew on a carry gun I wanted to have it set up like that, because I'm probably not going to put sights on this. I'd have to get a slide modification and all that, so I don't think I'm going to do that, at least with this one. So on the sights, obviously the Glock wins at the moment until I upgrade these. Next thing I wanted to talk about was the trigger. The one thing about the Glock trigger is that it's got this weird, like, edging to it. Do you see that? Where it's ribbed, kind of? And your finger feels that ribbing, and it's also angled. So it's almost like a pyramid like this that you're squeezing down on. And I don't like it. I mean, the trigger feels all right as far as the pull on it, but how it feels to your fingertip, it's not nice. I don't know. It puts a pressure point right in the center of your finger, whereas this one here is a flat face trigger, and oh my goodness, just does this thing feel so much better. So much better. To get to prime it and get to the wall, and then to fire, it's just better. So I'm probably going to have to modify that. That just doesn't feel good to pull this thing. And I know if I was probably to go out there and fire a bunch of rounds, it'd probably make my finger sore at the end of the day. Just from pulling it. I can already feel that. Okay, so win with this one for sure. And really overall, when it comes to those kind of features, the little extra benefits, the XDM is going to win. It's just the elite version. It's the higher end pistol that they have. So it's not really fair to compare these two, but it's what I have. So I wanted to talk about what my experiences are so far, right? Because like on the XDM, we have the beaver tail. I like that. It's just an extra thing to make me feel safe, because when I have the gun like this, even if I pull the trigger, I'm not doing anything. It's not going to fire because I don't have this depressed. I got to get my hand in there. So it's just one extra layer that when I'm doing some administrative handling or whatever with the gun and it's loaded, I have one more thing that just makes me feel even better and confident to carry this and hold it without feeling like someone's going to get hurt. So that's nice. And there's no downside. I don't know why anyone would ever complain about this. You will never, ever know it's there when you're using the pistol. You can't. It's just not possible to know that it's there. It's flush and you can't feel it. So it's just a benefit, no downsides. I mean, unless someone can tell me there's a downside and explain it, I don't understand what it would be. So to continue with this section of the gun, the slide release on this thing is absolutely crap. It's hard to get to, so like you have to rotate the gun. And even then, it's hard to get on. Like you have to really rotate the gun a lot towards you and just grind into that thing. Now maybe it'll work itself out eventually, but I'm not going to wait to find out. I'm going to have this thing replaced. The newer generations of the Glock made it much wider so that it comes across here to like all the way over to there instead of this little nub. And then the one thing that's really kind of aggravated me is the magazine. So obviously the magazine that came in this, loaded in it, slid out perfectly even without bullets in it. Obviously with ammo in it, it's heavy, it's going to fall out. But this one here is kind of rough when I push it in. I'm pushing pretty hard here to get it to go in. And then let's see, will it come out? Okay, it came out. But for a while I was sitting there squeezing this thing, trying to get it to come out, and it just wouldn't. See, like right here, it doesn't want to go. I'm grinding it so hard, and it's released. It just didn't come out. So I have to grab it. So that's a big deal for me, because this one here, not only is it just better, but it's fully ambidextrous. It's on both sides. It's a big button. It's easy to press. It's super easy to press. And you can feel the mechanism as you push it in. It twists and releases like this little stopper in there. Here, let's see if I can get it. You see that? Yeah, look at that. That is just so good. That's like phenomenal build quality. And it's metal. This is plastic. This thing just like move. See how that moves over? That's stupid. That is like just low tier engineering. Figure something out there, right? So that's a big deal for me, because not only these ones are easy to load, super easy. I didn't have any problem with the resistance on these, but the The magazines that came with the Marksman pistol here obviously are way better. I mean, just leaps and bounds better. And when they go in, they're nice and snappy, and that thing throws them out when you push the button. And that's angled sideways, and it just kicks that thing out of there. There's no games with that. And I could even push it with my index finger on the other side, no problem. Like, easily. So, manual of arms with this thing destroys the Glock on that end as far as reloading and whatever. Now, taking down the slides, you know, breaking them down, I think I prefer the Glock once you learn how to do it. It's just faster in general. So with this one, it requires you to lock it back, and most pistols are like this. You lock it back, you've got your lever that goes up, and then once the lever's up, you can slowly release it forward, and the slide comes off. Can we set that down without knocking it over? Yeah. Now with the Glock, you have to fire the pistol so that it's not armed. Which, that's another thing too. It was strange to see the Glock locks back on the trigger once you have fired it and it's no longer armed, whereas the XDM does not. It'll still go back to normal. It'll just be a squishy trigger that doesn't do anything. Okay, so with breaking the Glock down, you've got these little release levers that you have to pull down on both sides, and after you've fired the guns, and then you just grab it like this and use your thumb as pressure to kind of squeeze it like that a little bit, because you only need to move it a little tiny bit. Move those levers down and then release it, and it comes right off. I like that. That's nice, because once you know how to do it, you can do it very quickly. And what's great is when I'm putting it back on, I just rack it, I'm done. I rack it and it locks itself. Whereas this one here requires you to slide it on, bring it all the way to the back, lock it in place, put the lever down, then return it. Otherwise, it'll fly off the gun. So it's a little more work on this one. I mean, you can still do it pretty quick. It's not a big deal. But the next thing that you'll notice once you do that, though, is that the internals, you'll see more upgrades that the Springfield has because it's a more expensive gun. The first thing you'll notice right away is the giant recoil spring that's 2-part and full metal. That's all metal on this one. This one here is a polymer, so it's like a plastic rod in the middle with a spring on the outside, and it's one piece. Works well. I mean, I don't notice the difference firing the pistol, but this one's just more quality, right? So it's, now everything else though is pretty much identical as far as how they build them, so you're not seeing a difference there. It's all the extra little features, how nice the trigger is, really how nice that release is. That thing is so good. I wish Glock or every pistol should be like this. Every gun should be that well made for the release. Anyone can do that. I can reload this pistol so fast because of that. From slide lock, boom, it's done before you even realize what happened. So other than that though, I like both the pistols for sure. Shooting the Glock because of the sights without a red dot on this yet, with the sights being the way they are, plus the grip on top of it being better for me for recoil, I was able to shoot more accurately and faster with the Glock, which I should not be. But I think that'll change quite a bit once I get more shooting under my belt, more practice, and have a red dot on this bad boy, and just get more comfortable with where my hand needs to hold it, all of that. Then it'll flip. It'll flip around. But I think as a new shooter, just the ergonomic feel of this thing made it naturally work better for me without practice. So that's how I feel about these so far. I like them both. I really do. I am not disappointed in any way, shape, or form that I got this. Because the next thing is like the fact that I don't like this release and this trigger. It's a Glock. And it's a Glock 19. So I can get a bajillion different triggers. I can get plenty of these replaced. I can get any slide I want. So it's not even a big deal that I, don't like those things. Whereas if I picked up something a little more extravagant and exotic, like say the CZ P10C first before this, then it'd be a little more difficult getting the modifications that I want for it. but then you're paying for the fact that you don't really have to modify it. Like this, I wouldn't change this trigger. This trigger's great. It's flat. It feels so good. You know you're pressing it straight back to the back of the trigger. So this one doesn't though. This one I have a hard time feeling like, man, am I pulling to the left or right? Because of that weird pyramid feel on it. The fact that it's almost like a ramp on either side of the trigger. I don't know why you would want that. I don't understand how the developers could have pulled that trigger and said, yep, that's the way to do it. Place that in there. I mean, just doing that right here, that little bit, just getting to the wall, uncomfortable. And you'll even see like a little line on my finger. A little red line right there. That's from the stupid shape of this trigger. And it digging into the bottom part of your finger. Look at that. You can see the red mark after I let go. And the indentation on my finger. Do not like it. Look at this one. No problem. Look at my finger, goes right back to normal after I pull off that thing. So I'll update you with some more information about the other pistols when I get them. The next one will probably be a Hellcat. And then after the Hellcat, it's going to be between the CZ P10C and probably something like a P365 XL. Smaller pistols. So there's the Hellcat and P365 are like pocket pistols, and then the CZ is another one around this size. So I'm probably going to go with a smaller one first, and then go back over to this size with my 4th purchase at that time. Okay,